All right, what's up, everybody? It's another week of Todd and myself, our retro nostalgia chat, where we just kind of go down memory lane, talk about stuff we dig. Nothing too serious. We just kind of shoot the breeze. We didn't go last week. We had to take the week off. Riverman will kind of fill you in as to why.
Yeah, so last week, I want to say Monday, I was hanging out with my kid, and then I started feeling really shitty, really tired, run down, lethargic, and then later that evening, I got a fever, and my wife's sister called her up and was like, "Oh, I just tested positive for COVID," and we happened to see them a few days prior to that, so I had a fever, so I woke up the next day. I was like, I'll just get a test. So yeah, I was tested positive again for COVID. It was fine. 24 hours of 48 hours of just sleeping.
Not
and
nearly as
then
bad as the first round. Then,
no,
obviously.
no. I think by Thursday or something, I felt like 80%, and now I feel about 90%. So
That's good. Yeah, man. Plemke, your booster, bro. You got to get that booster. You got to get your fourth booster.
No, I'm not. I didn't get anything. I won't. So
Well, we're back in action. Looney Tunes back in action, right? This week, so we're not going to dwell on the past. And if you guys want to jump right into it, what we're going to do is we're going to do a tier list, and we're going to talk about. We're going to rank the consoles in the gaming space to the best of our ability. We might need some help because there's a couple obscure ones that we probably have not actually played. And then we're going to chat along the way about our favorite games of each system. So it'll be pretty fun. Before we roll into that, I don't know if you had any pickups. I don't have that much. I have a couple things, but I've been on a drought, man, intentionally on just obtaining needless bullshit. But
yeah, I think I have like 4 different things. I can start running through mine.
Yeah,
First
just kind of run through them.
First thing I got was actually showed up today. It was a pre-order of a couple things actually. This finally dropped today. I'm looking forward to watching it. The Dentist collection.
You know, that might be coming tomorrow for me. I know it's on its way. I'm actually going to double check. And you haven't seen those, right?
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. So I want to see the second one.
My copy did come today. I didn't realize that, so I'll have to go snag that as well. What's up, Respect the Face? Texas Chainsaw Massacre is coming to PS4.
Oh, the new game. Yeah.
Is it like the Friday the 13th game? Same type of thing?
I don't know. I'm not 100%. I didn't see any gameplay action and any of that. So I'll have to do some research maybe this week.
I'm going to be so distracted by RE4 remake, bro. And I'll play the Dead Space remake. Don't know if I'm going to make time. But
second thing that showed up today with it, something I pre-ordered. I talked about a few weeks ago is the Last American Virgin.
And I've never seen that. I know you really did.
Yeah, MVD. I think Goat really likes it too. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that one as well. I got a couple more, but did you want to run through any of yours?
If you just have a couple more, I'll just go through you just go through your few, man.
Okay. The other thing I got was I didn't pick this up when it was originally released from Vinegar Syndrome, but I got it on one of those Facebook groups on used, but technically they never opened it. So the Thriller of the Cruel Picture box set.
That's really 2 films. It's a beautiful set.
Yeah, so it's a nice set. It came out last year from Vinegar Syndrome, so I'm looking forward to watching these. But last time I had that was on DVD, and I ended up selling that because it was kind of sought after back in 2010. I want to say 2011. So I really liked it, but I sold it off, and I'm glad I got that 4K set. So the last thing I got, I ordered this like 2 months ago. One of my good buddies, who I'll talk about in a little bit because we're going to be going out this weekend. I'll kind of tell you about that. But he told me about a sale that was going on for a specific set that I've been wanting to get, but it's been out of print forever. But he's like, hey, there's a German cut. He got it, and he says it's really, really good. So this is a German release of the X-Files box set, Blu-ray box set.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, with all the seasons, it's 1 through 11, of course, and
that's cool.
It's the same thing that was released here in the States, but it just says it in German. pretty much. So yeah, but it's the same set, and nothing is the discs are exactly the same as the U.S. version. So
And that doesn't bother you? You're totally cool with that?
oh, with the writing on it, the German
Yeah.
writing. No, I think it's cool. I like it.
Okay.
So yeah,
now they need a sweet Unsolved Mystery set.
well, yeah, and this originally came out. Yeah, it was a little expensive. It was like $100 for the whole set, but I mean, if you would have got the set in the States a couple of years ago when it was in print, it was like $250. It was expensive as hell. But this is on a sale. It was pretty cheap. Excuse me. But
That's pretty cool.
yeah, that was about it for that. Though I was excited to finally get that. I ordered like 2 months ago and it finally showed up. So I was like, all right. So I've been watching some of those when I was sick earlier or last week. But yeah, that's what I pretty much.
That's
got.
all yours.
Mm-hmm.
Respect the Face. He's asking, is there two different versions of RE4 for the PS4? Well, technically, they released the original, right? The one that came out like what 2003,
yeah,
like 20 years ago. They've ported that to every system known to mankind. But yeah, that's on PS4. And then the remake's coming out. Is it March?
March. Yep.
And then Dead Space comes out like this week or something.
Yeah,
like
end of the month.
Yeah, it comes out like a Friday or something. I don't know. So that'll be really, really cool. I'm most looking forward to I never played Dead Space. I just know
I never have either.
I have the original and I tried playing it, but for some I got stuck like right at the beginning and I could not just fucking get the game started and I was just frustrated. I'm like, I don't want to do this shit. And I moved on to something else. So I'm looking forward to actually jumping into the new version. Plemke saw an Unsolved Mysteries DVD, the Ghost one, and he was broke. He was so pissed at being broke. was it pricey? I don't know if I maybe I know we haven't done this in a couple weeks, so I don't know if I brought up these. I guess I'll just ask you. I know I told you personally, but did I tell people on this podcast that I got the Django 4K or no? Or was
yeah.
I did. I told everybody. And the evil. Okay, so what I did get dirt cheap on Amazon. I got Heat on 4K.
Yeah, I got that too. No slipcover?
You got a slipcover?
No, mine hasn't come yet. Mine's not coming till February.
Oh, you scared me. As long as you don't got one, dude, I'm good.
Oh, I'm sure I might get one.
I thought you were gonna say I got one. I was like, you fucking filthy fucking whore.
Why don't you send that back and try to get it one?
No, dude, they're not gonna have them.
I'm not gonna play those games anymore either.
I don't play them either, but I was gonna get a little jealous if you had.
I used to play those games.
I know. I used to go into, like I said, I've told Todd, I used to go into like used game stores, movie stores, hobby stores, and I'd find a movie that I owned, and they'd have it used on the shelves with the slipcover. You know, because I mean, if you couldn't find the slipcover new anymore, you might have a shot at finding someone's used copy they traded in that kept it. And I would go in there and be like, "Can I have the slipcover?" And like, get out of here! Just take it. Don't ever come back.
You were the OG slipcover collector.
I feel
you
like
were the OG. I've never heard of that prior to you.
Yeah, I know, it was weird, and then all of a sudden it felt like it was a thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there had to have been other people just like me that were suffering from the same complex, but yeah, I didn't know there's anybody else that did it. In fact, like I said, nobody was really. I don't think anybody's hunting for. Let me correct myself. I think when I was into it, anybody else that might have been into it was also like just sort of closeted, where they were just. It wasn't like a collector's market.
Something you actually talked about with people.
Yeah, and people weren't selling them online. It was still trash to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I miss those days, and I do not miss those days. What else I got? I got one toy, and this is, like I said, this is a pre-order, so it's kind of cheating, not cheating, because I ordered it a while ago. But oh, that's the cool thing about toy pre-orders, man. Gifts that keep on giving. I forget I get stuff, dude. And stuff shows up my door like 6 months later. Just the TMNT NECA comic line. I got a Casey Jones. You know, I don't have too many of the comic line. I think I've got 4 or 5 at this point, but they're really cool, man. But you know, I'll have to do something with that. And then I do have 2 records to show. Thanks to Todd for filling me in, but Dire Straits Money for Nothing, right? They released this on vinyl. They pressed this. I love it. This is not the
fantastic.
first Dire Straits I listened to, because I always talk about our buddy from middle school who turned out to be a raging Platophile. He lent me his copy of Brothers in Arms like in the 6th grade or something like that. Anyway, that was the first thing I bonded with. And that's the only thing we bonded over, folks. I swear.
Oh,
Anyway, and then as far as what I bought myself, I found this at like a used shop, man, the CD, and I love it. And I more or less just kind of bought it to complete the collection, because I mean, I've got all the studio albums already on vinyl, but this does have Portobello Live alternate, and it's got Telegraph Road live, but these are on their live album, the Alchemy, which I don't know if it's pressed on vinyl, but technically it's the only thing I don't own from them.
I think they got pressed for a Record Store Day. I don't know which one, but past couple of years, I think.
Well, that's all I'm missing is Alchemy. And once I have that, I mean, I'll have everything that's technically on this, and it will be kind of obsolete, even though I just love the track order. I'm so used to the flow of these songs, and it's
also the cover too.
Yeah, it's got "Twisting by the Pool," a remix of that, which I found that EP with you at a shop, so I technically have the "Twisting by the Pool" EP. But I love it, dude. I love how 80s that is. I like
awesome.
Just everything about it, man. And he's just totally embracing his iconic dad sweatband, dude. That was his thing, man. Very cool. Can't get enough. And lastly, I actually got this along with it, because when I was picking that up, I saw that they had put a pressing out of this, and they hadn't had a pressing out of this out in a while. But Stone Cold classic, Nail Bomb, dude, and it's music on vinyl, so it's gonna sound great. Just got it today, man. I'm so stoked. I'm an old school Max Cavalera fan, so pretty much anything and everything I just have to get my hands on. So I even like Soulfly, man. I think new Soulfly is usually on fire, man. But he's one of the old dogs, old school. He still puts out like an album, 2 albums every year, man. He just pumps them out like it's 1982. It's great.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. So let's see. No longer brothers in arms with a guy who's currently in Big Bubba's arms in a jail cell. What? Respect the Face. I found Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 for Xbox 360 at a thrift store. That game is scary for real. I can't wait, dude. I'm really stoked to play it. I've been trying to get a lot of stuff done so I could maybe treat myself to playing Dead Space this weekend.
Are you getting a physical copy, or what are you doing? Just downloading it?
I might get the physical. I'll probably get the physical copy. I'll probably do that as long as I can, but whenever we get rid of that shit, I'll embrace it. It's fine. Like I said, I do a mix of both now.
I do too. Yeah.
If it's cheaper digital, whatever. And it's just been a convenience sometimes, and I'm like, whatever, I'll get a digital. I don't want to go anywhere. It just depends. It also depends on the game too. I mean, it's whatever, man. I mean, I got to get in the mindset of purging and getting rid of shit. I've actually considered heavily just getting rid of all my retro games. Like they literally, I don't play. They literally are just sitting in a closet.
I'd get rid of them. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm at that point, and some of that stuff I love, but I even like the 16-bit stuff. I was never about ROMs, but ever since we have like the SNES minis or the NES
those
minis,
are great,
or even like Raspberry Pis, now that legitimizes that stuff for me a little bit. I don't care, and it's just like I'm not gonna be this guy that owns a CRT anymore and keeping it in a corner so I can have like my NES plugged in. Fucking no, it's just whatever. So it's like I don't ever all the consoles I own are in like tubs in storage, and if I don't feel like breaking those things out, so I'm not going to play the cartridges either. And as far as I love the PlayStation 1, but I really wish the PlayStation 5 could play all that shit. That would be a dream come true, and I could just but anyway, it is what it is. I'll try and get rid of all that stuff. So let's kind of roll into it. Actually, let me go ahead and get set up here. It'll be fun to talk about this, and none of it's too planned. I think once we kind of go through these consoles, it's going to be easy to riff off the top of our heads about what the best games are, because that's what I want to do. We'll rank them, we'll see where they fall, and then we'll kind of talk about the highlights on the system. All right, let me see here, fellers. All right, how's that look? Probably did. Sorry, I need to do some adjusting. Look at those ads. Buy some Vitamin Life. You guys need some vitamin D. All right, so all right, and River, I can't see the chat. Oh, let me. This is so annoying. I got to get formatted so I can see the chat too, guys. Give me a sec. It's really annoying. I wish this, you know what?
Boomer alert. Boomer alert.
No, you know what StreamYard needs? It needs pop-out chat. That's what it needs.
Yeah.
That would help me out a lot, but that's all right. Here's what I'm going to do. I am a boomer too, by the way. It's fine. Trying to get this looking as good as possible for everybody. All right, that'll be good. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to try my best to go in order, but how can we not start with one of the OGs, man? We got the Atari 2600. Now, did you ever have one of these bad boys?
No, I never had one of those.
So we basically inherited my mom's. It was at my grandma's house, so we grew up playing this thing and just a boatload of games. And, you know, I was playing this thing when we had a Genesis and a Super Nintendo, so stuff that was way more advanced than this. But when we found it and we sort of got, you know, our hands on it, it didn't matter. Like, it didn't seem ghetto. It just felt like video games, like, oh, new games. And I remember we had like a small obsession with playing fucking like one-on-one Dr. J, Larry Bird basketball, you know, just playing Donkey Kong, playing obviously really bad ports of Pac-Man and Dig Dug and Food Fight. I don't know. It was so cool. And this is after I had played games like Legend of Zelda Link to the Past a million times. I don't know. It was an exciting time, but I don't know, man. This is kind of an OG. So it's like, I don't know how we're going to rank these. I kind of feel like I didn't play ET motherfucker every day. Flumpy.
I think the highlights were what? Pitfall, Space Invaders, Asteroids.
But those arcade games,
Missile Command.
Dude, I love arcade games. I love games like God, I don't think I used to get off on Pong. It's fine. Like, I just like rack 'em up games. Now, if I tried to go back and play this now, how are we going to rank this? Like, how the system ages, or are we just going to go straight off like our memories, because that might affect stuff. Like, because if we're going off how it ages, dude, these joysticks are hard. They're tough.
Yeah, they're terrible.
And we kept breaking them, dude. Like, they kept ripping the rubber off. Like, we had so many of them, and it would be very difficult to play now. I have to give it respect, though. Like, what about a B, guys?
Yeah, I would say a B. Yeah,
I have to give it a B because you know, it's got a place in history. Obviously,
I never got to play Halloween on there.
I mean, you're not missing much. Don't they have Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well? Yeah. But it'd be cool to own like TCM, right?
Yeah.
A copy of that. All right, so there's that. 2 Zoomer for Atari, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I was too young for Atari too. I just kind of inherited it. So we're gonna go.
There was always Ataris to, like, you went over to your mom's boyfriend's house, like he would have an old Atari, or a friend's dad or whatever had an Atari sitting around. But yeah, none of the kids usually had them around town.
All right, everybody, coming in strong. Check out this beautiful yellow bastard. The NES, man. This is a granddaddy. Now, this is the thing that obviously saved the gaming industry after it tanked after the Atari, right? It drug it and brought it back up like a phoenix out of hell. Everybody knows the story. Dude, so many classics. Now, some of them don't age well. This is one of those things where some of my fondest memories are with the NES, but dude, it's just got the most games where you go back like, what was I thinking? It doesn't age as well as maybe the systems that are coming after this. But if we're talking about the first party games, Mario, the original Super Mario Brothers plays really well. It's still
Awesome.
fun. It is the blueprint. It's the archetype. And then we have obviously Mario 3, Mario 2. Those games are so much fun. And in the Legend of Zelda, I mean, I get it. It's also the blueprint. Obviously, with games like Zelda and stuff, they did the same thing but better, like with the next generation. But I don't know, man. This is gonna be S or A.
It's definitely gonna be S because the library catalog of games are top notch. They're awesome.
Let's go over it. Like I said, do they all age well? Right. I get it. So let's talk about it. The Mario series, Legend of Zelda, you could even throw Zelda 2. Castlevania was introduced. It deserves all the props in the world because the franchises it birthed, right? That are still around today. So Castlevania was great. Then you have
Metroid.
Oh yeah, but see, my problem though is yeah, it created these iconic franchises like a Metroid or Castlevania, but they did it so much better on the next gen, right? Like the original Metroid, try playing the original Metroid now. It's floaty and it's slow as shit. It's like the whole time you're thinking I could be playing Super Metroid. So
yeah, well, so yeah, I know you're saying,
and Mega Man plays really well. Those are really fun. But you know what though? I feel like I have to take into consideration, as much as like Mega Man's great, these games had serious balancing issues. They were so fucking hard, and but do we forgive it because they were like the first people to do games like this, like narrative games, right? Before this, we were playing Pong. But a game like Mega Man, as much as I love it, those original Mega Man games, you could not just be really good at the games and not get hit.
Yeah.
Like you had to take hits, right? No, and you were gonna die. And that's kind of bullshit, I guess, but I don't know, man. I think it's gotta be
I'm with an A. I'm totally with you on that.
I have to give it an A just because we gotta leave room for improvement, and it just doesn't age. The great games are really great, but they're few and far between. What?
When did you have a Nintendo, and when did you get a Nintendo?
So we inherited my uncle's Nintendo. We had a Nintendo as early as I can remember. We were I remember in 1990 being 4 years old, and we had a Nintendo that at one time belonged to my mom's brother, who was a lot younger than her. You know, he was kind of like a 13-year-old or something, right? And there was a time, like when I was 3, that I remember this NES being at his house. So at some point between 3 and 4, we got it. And then when we got it, we had Super Mario 1, we had Super Mario 2, we had Ghostbusters 2. And, case in point, I used to love that game because it's one of the games we had. That game is shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's not good. And then we had, I think it was like Jack Nicklaus Golf or something. I remember one day, we didn't have Mario 2 always. I remember one day, I took my dad's copy of Jack Nicklaus Golf and I traded it to a kid for Mario 2, that's another situation where it's like, oh, what a great trade. Great trade. And I remember my dad being so pissed. But you know what? He kind of sucked it up and he started playing Mario 2 and he fucking ended up loving Mario 2. So I didn't get the shit kicked out of me. It's fine. It worked out.
That was one of my first games was Nintendo Golf.
This wasn't Nintendo Golf.
Oh, okay.
This is like Jack Nicklaus Golf. This is not the Nintendo branded black box golf.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, so that's how we got Mario 2. Worst trade on whoever gave that to me. But that was great. And then I remember one time I went to another kid's house and he came over and he let us borrow for like a night or two the TMNT 2 arcade game. Dude, it was like life changing. I think we only had it for the night. I can't remember, but I remember it really well. And I remember how hard it was because I honestly don't think I even got past the first stage, dude. I don't even think I could beat Bebop and Rocksteady on the first stage, just annihilating me. But I do remember being not even 4 yet and being the original Super Mario Brothers. What a perfect game.
No, we acquired ours on one Christmas, and of course we had the Duck Hunt. We had the golf. and then we had Marble Madness.
Oh yeah,
and I was
yeah. And we had
obsessed with
Duck Hunt
Marble
too. We had
Madness.
the combination, all that stuff.
Yeah, Marble Madness was I was obsessed with. I don't know why. It's
like
pretty
Snake
shitty
Rattle and
game.
Roll. Maybe have that.
I have it.
And I was still just enamored with it. Like I wasn't like this horror that was all about the newest best thing, because even when we had a SNES and a Genesis, dude, I was still like obsessed with NES because we didn't have it anymore. We didn't have one very long. I don't know what happens. It's like by the time we had an SNES, we didn't have an NES anymore. And so I remember having the 16-bit consoles, and there was a kid in our neighborhood that had an NES still. To me, he was the coolest kid in the world because he had something I didn't have, but to everybody else, he was probably the poor kid. But you know, you look at things differently. And I remember going over to his house, dude, and playing Top Gun. And
God. We had that. It's terrible.
And I remember it was funny because and it's funny. It's a funny thing now, like a meme almost, where you can't land the ship.
Yeah, on the aircraft carrier.
Like at the very and I remember he invited me over, and he had that in Mario 3, and I never had Mario 3. Ever.
Really?
We had 1 and 2 at the time. Yeah, so it was a big deal for me to play Mario 3. But he invited me over, man. He wouldn't let me play. He was one of those kids.
Oh, yeah. You have to sit and watch him play.
You could go next. You could go next. Like, motherfucker, what am I doing here? I don't even like you, man. Remember his name was Chadwick. I don't want to be hanging out with motherfuckers named Chadwick if I ain't getting anything out of it, man. Seriously. And he looked like Wayne from Wonder Years, dude. Anyway, and he had like this weird like dialect or like speech impediment. Anyway, when he was playing Top Gun, and we were like, okay, I'll give you a turn after I'm done. And he was playing it, and he kept dying. And then he would go like, I've never landed the ship. No, I'm going to go again. I was close. I almost got it. Like, I never got on the ship before.
No, nobody ever has.
I just remember that being such a big deal. And I still never got to play. I just watched this fucker get on the ship or whatever. And I don't remember. It's all blank after that. Either I went home or his uncle molested me and I repressed everything after. I don't remember. But that's what I think of. I always think of Chadwick when I think of that game.
I always used to go to my neighbor Lauren's house, and we used to play the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and NES. And I still like that. I still like that game.
It's
I have a lot of fond memories of that game.
It's hard. So sticking with 8-bit, did anybody here have a Master System? Anybody in the chat have a Master System? Because we never owned a Master System. I've
never seen one.
I didn't know anybody with a Master System, right? Respect the face, dude. You said you got your NES stolen, and they raided the fridge. Jeez. Okay, Master System. Yeah, it was outsold like 1,000,000 to 1 with the NES here in the States. This thing, obviously, I think it's pretty no knowledge now. It's still pretty popular. It was in Brazil, for crying out loud, because they're so behind the times with technology, and technology is so expensive over there. But we never had one. So I don't know where to put it, or if I should even put it anywhere. I honestly should have created another category like cannot comment. But yeah, before all your guys' time, I don't know, man. I've played some Master System games since, and if you guys know anything about like the Game Gear is just a Master System.
Yeah,
right? It's just a handheld Master System. All I can go off of is a couple of the few games I played, and they're okay. It was actually more powerful than the NES. It was more capable than the NES. It looked a lot closer to the Genesis than the NES looked to this SNES. So, hey, Mendoza's in the chat. He's kind of like our age. Did you ever play a Master System, dude? I'm talking to a bunch of Zoomers over here, and nobody's feeling us here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. I'm gonna just put it in C because it's not bad, but I don't have enough history with it. Moving on to the Super Nintendo. I'm just gonna stick it in S. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. It's the greatest system of all time. All time. Tied with another, but we'll get there.
I agree with you 100% on that.
Mendoza says he didn't have one, but he did masturbate a lot. That's fantastic.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the SNES, man, dude, it's S because I get how NES laid the foundations and stuff, and it launched all the franchises that would go on to be on the SNES. But the SNES, man, it perfected everything. In my opinion, Super Mario World is the definitive Mario game.
Beautiful.
Even though some people will say 3, but I think World takes it even further. And Super Metroid destroys the original. Link to the Past, the greatest game of all time. It's everything the first one was, but just so much better. And also, just everything was done right as far as functionality. Because the SNES game, the NES games, dude, you play Ninja Gaiden, you had the knockback issues, right? You get hit by an enemy, they knock you into a fucking pit like 2 feet away, and you had the flicker, and you had all this stuff.
They perfected the beat 'em up game too.
But these games, NES, the games were just ridiculously hard, and I think that they were so hard because, I mean, they were the first people to really do a console like this, and the only knowledge we had in the industry was arcade games, and arcade games were brutally hard because they were designed to steal your quarters, right? Like they didn't want anybody beating arcade games, and so I think maybe that's just all they knew. So when the NES came out, they had cryptic shit like you never would have found out unless you bought Nintendo Power. It was a way to sell Nintendo Power subscriptions too, right? You couldn't figure stuff out naturally, organically. You had to buy Nintendo Power, or maybe you had to hear about it on the blacktops at school. Stuff like burning the tree in the original NES game to find one of the last dungeons. It's so random. Like there's no hints in the game. It's so random. And obviously there's the famous Night and Day. Was like the mechanic in, is it Castlevania 3 or 2? It's just these stupid specific things that you never could have figured out. And the Super NES changed all that. The games were easier, not easier in a bad way, but they were fun, man. Like play Legend of Zelda 2. It's so hard.
That's great. It's great though.
It's so hard, and you can't save. You got to beat that fucker in a playthrough, and every time you die, you get sent back all the way to the starting point of the game. It's brutally hard. But like the Link to the Past, they really mastered the difficulty where it's not frustratingly hard, but it's also not too easy where you feel like a baby and it's holding your hand too much. It's just the perfect thing. And those games are all like a glove to me. They're easy to me now because I've played them so many times, but the games are endless. I already said Super Metroid. Like I said, Legend of Zelda on that is the greatest game of all time. Mega Man X is better than all of the original Mega Mans. Fight me over it, right? The OG Mega Man X. Mega Man X2 is fantastic as well. Mega Man X3 is solid, but less so. But Mega Man X1, it is one of the greatest platformers of all time. And it's so funny because if you talk to people that are just like 5 years older than me, they'll swear and die by like Mega Man 2 and 3, and they're not as good as X. And I don't understand that. But
I didn't really care for the Mega Man 2 and 3 personally.
But Mega Man X is great. Yes, Respect the Face, Super Metroid, awesome. And also Super Castlevania 4. It's to me better than the 3 that were on the NES, to me. Right? And you had the Mode 7, which is really groundbreaking stuff at the time. F-Zero. Dude, F-Zero. I don't even care that it didn't have a co-op mode. It's a racing game that's just one player. It's kind of weird to think about now, but that game is so playable. It's so much fun and just one of the greatest soundtracks ever. And yeah, I
always like to have they have good like time waster games like Bomberman, stuff like that. Like Super Bomberman
2. Super Bomberman 2 is the one, dude. It's
I mean, those games still hold up to this day, which
they're basically like mobile games.
Yeah.
You know, they're just really addictive, like beat each other up, local co-op games. I mean, no matter how much more advanced the Bomberman games got into Sega Saturn and 64, and even up to like Switch and PS4, there's newer Bomberman games. They never got better than just Super Bomberman 2 on the SNES because it was such a simple concept of like, you know, you pit you with a few of your friends, you just take a corner and you grab icons and try to blow each other up, last man standing. It's such a simple concept that no matter how much they tried to add on it, they weren't going to be able to add on it, and it wasn't going to get any better. And that's actually one of the top games that me and my brothers would play co-op, even into adulthood. We'd always like go over to whoever's house and somebody has we all get copies of Super Bomberman 2, and we'd all just play that. But yeah, man, I know there's more games too that I can't think of. Dude, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, for all its imperfections, it's got a lot of slowdown. Obviously,
it's hard, but yeah.
SNES had tons of slowdown. So I guess that is a flaw. But as a
Donkey
kid,
Kong Country looks beautiful. I mean,
dude, DK Country 2. That game
is
awesome. That is the best one. And then, but like I said, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, it would have a lot of slowdown, unlike the Genesis. When in a game like Super Ghouls and Ghosts would have a lot of sprites on screen at the same time, like just with the different enemies flying around and the zombies. Dude, you'd be like doing double jumps, and it would just start slowing down in all the same parts. It is always the same parts of the game. And but as a kid though, I didn't realize it was really slow down. I'm like, oh, this is just the game. I mean, I did, but it didn't bother me. I'm like, oh, it's just part of the game.
About it.
Yeah, it's just. And some people argue that the slowdown would help you, like, no, like dodge attacks. Like, not really. I mean, because like once you do a jump, you're gonna land where you're gonna land, and you gotta do a double jump. Like sometimes, if anything, it just made you watch your impending doom slower. Like, no, it's coming. But the best sprite work ever was on the Super Nintendo, and that game has some of the best boss sprites. They're so great. Let's see. Yeah, Plemke's falling asleep with his boomer memory lane shit. JK. Well, you're missing out, dude. If you didn't play that, if you have like a Switch or even like a Wii U or a Wii, dude, go back and play some.
Download some ROMs.
Yeah, whatever. Play these games, dude, because I just think it has pound for pound the best library. And of course, it had shovelware, but even the third-party stuff, it had some great stuff, man. It had a lot of, like the NES, a lot of licensed games, right? Like you'd have like the Home Improvement game, like random shit like that. That was ass. But Turtles in Time, man, the greatest beat 'em up of all time. The second greatest beat 'em up of all time.
Final Fight.
No, for me, it's Batman Returns.
Final Fight was.
Oh, it's so good, dude. There is not a prettier game than Batman Returns, and there is not a better, more faithful movie adaptation of a game that just captured the movie and followed along with the story. It's not like Home Improvement where you're playing Tim the Toolman Taylor going through prehistoric times and weird stuff. And then of course, Super Nintendo had the definitive Street Fighter 2s. I couldn't play that shit on Sega, especially when you had the 3 buttons. You needed a 6 button, which we never had. But because with a 3-button controller, you had to alternate. If the 3 face buttons would be punches, and if you wanted to do kicks, you had to tap the start button and it would turn to kicks. Like, so you're constantly like tapping the start button. It's like, I don't know how anybody does this. And the sound was shit. But in my opinion, the best Street Fighter game of all time is Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting. So good. And it's better than Super Street Fighter 2, in my opinion. But anyway, enough about that. I can't say enough good shit about that. So we're in the early 90s. Let's move on. Let's talk about, okay, so we have to talk about the Genesis. Obviously, we're going to talk about Super Nintendo. Now, in my opinion, unless somebody else has objection, it's going to go in the A.
I think it should be an S.
You think it's an S? Okay, defend your case. Because that's putting it with Super Nintendo. Compare it and defend it. Why does it belong in the same echelon as the SNES?
The blast processing, how fast it is.
They fucking saw you coming.
No, I just something about that, man. Playing Sonic for the Sonic 2 for the first time.
What's up, Oliver?
I mean, it was mind blowing. Just like Super Mario World. I mean, they have the games. They have the beat 'em up games. They have the game quality still holds up to a lot of these games too. I don't think they're as polished as the SNES, so I wouldn't put it in front of SNES by any means. But something about it, man. They have all different types of genres. They went after the mature audience. It seemed like just a different type of kid.
Famous story. Everybody knows Nintendo. They had sticks up their ass about violence and shit like that. They were in bed with the Tipper Gores and stuff like that in the Senate. And when Mortal Kombat came out, they took all the blood out. Genesis saw an opportunity, so they released Mortal Kombat albeit with no blood, but you could activate blood with a code. And everybody figured that out quick. And so they got to market, hey, this is the one with the blood. And I think they outsold the SNES version like 3-1. It was like a slaughterhouse. So money talks. And obviously when it came time to port MK2, Nintendo was like, okay, fuck that. Fuck all these moms. These angry moms and grandmas, we want the money. We're gonna give you the blood.
Another reason. I know you're not into sports games, but there's a lot of people that are. I am.
Super Tech Mobile. Oh, sorry, Genesis. My bad.
Genesis. It had the best sports games compared to SNES. NHL '94 is still the best sports game ever made. I still play it,
and people
it's fantastic.
I've always wanted to play it, to be honest with you, because I know people have said that all the time, and also I've always wanted to play Mutant League Hockey.
Yeah, Mutant League Football, Mutant League Hockey. They have a lot of cool sports games.
I don't follow like real sports, so I kind of liked all the fantasy driven stuff. Like I like golf games with fantasy characters. I like what is that? Hold on, I'll make sure I get the name right because I can't quite remember what year. Well, if I can get some fucking yeah, so Mutant League games, but there was also like a futuristic. Was it Baseball 2020 or is it 2029? What is it? Hold on, I gotta find out, guys.
I'll just throw out a few more. So Echo the Dolphin was still, God, that looked amazing. I think it still looks good.
Yeah.
The Golden Axe series. I love the Golden Axe series.
Baseball 2020. That was so much. I think it was on the SNES as well. I played on Genesis. So great. It was just like futuristic baseball, and they had like different countries, and on your team you had humans and robots. I don't know. It was just so much fun. We played the hell out of that. But no, I mean overall, man, I just can't say the Genesis had the library because even their flagship, their main competitor to Mario was Sonic 2, like you said, or Sonic. And when I got my Genesis, we got the pack in with Sonic 2.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't play Sonic 1 till a bit later, but yeah, and I really liked Sonic 2 at the time because, like I said, I just consumed anything and everything games, and it was so cool. And I have fond memories and nostalgia with Sonic 2, but I can't play that shit anymore.
I still play it.
I can't play Sonic 2 anymore, just because there's no game.
That's the best Sonic.
It is, and that's sad. It is by far the best Sonic because it's got the best stages, got the best music, but just Sonic in general, like it just doesn't do it for me because the idea that the concept is to just race through a level as fast as possible. It's almost like it's automation, right? You know how like for example, you go to especially a level like the second stage. What's it called? The second stage where it's like the mechanical place.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Water. Yeah. Why can't I fucking see? I used to know all this shit like back of my hand. Once you get that started, dude, it's just like let it fly, let him fly, and he's just going with the low. And eventually, a little part where you have to stop and go again. It wasn't like Mario, where Super Mario World was all about exploration and secret exits that lead to different stages. And
there was a lot of the secrets, though. I mean, like behind, like it has the greatest level, I think, is a casino level, which I would sit there for 3-4 hours just playing the slot machine with.
Sonic, it's really fun. And no, I know I do like Sonic 2, but I don't know. It just doesn't hold a candle to the other top mascot. But I will say Sonic 2, I never sweat more bullets because unlike Mario, you couldn't save. Mario World, you could save. Sonic 2, you could not. You had to beat it in a single sitting. And at the time as a kid, it felt like such a chore. Like, like I had other stuff to do or something. And I remember when I'd get to the last zones, right? Where they had like one of them had the 3 stages in it. Right. It had the one with all the cogs and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't remember the stuff, but I remember like shit would get real when you'd get to the Sky Zone. And then, when you beat Sky Zone, you would go on the spaceship and go up to the Dr. Robotnik in the final stage in space. Mm-hmm. I always kind of got like real jittery in the last 2 zones and lands because I don't know. I felt like I was kind of on my last lives. Like the game kind of wore you down. It's like, well, hopefully I'll have enough lives to actually beat the final boss, because usually it was kind of down to the wire for me. I'd only have like a few tries if I was lucky. And so when I was playing that final Dr. Robotnik, that giant fucking mech he's in, I was always on pins and needles, because I don't know why I used to think it was so hard. Now it's not, but if you try and hit him in the dick, you don't want to get hit by a spiky hand, but you gotta hit him when one hand's out and make sure you'll know what's in the background. But it was tough because you had to beat Metal Sonic before that, and you had to beat Metal Sonic and Dr. Robotnik in one life.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if you died on Robotnik, you had to beat Metal Sonic again. So that's what I'm saying. You wanted to have as many lives stored up as you could, because that last stage was brutal. But no, I love it. I mean, I got memories.
I'm fine with putting it as an A, but I would put it ahead of Nintendo.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Really? Mendoza, did you own these?
What has more play value? Where are you going to go back and play? NES or a Sega?
Oh, well, let's go. Case in point, the only game we talked about was really Sonic 2. Let's go. There were some other great games, but I'm trying to think. The Sega Genesis was the machine to play shooters. No, space shooters, like shooters.
Yeah,
and at the time, now we call FPS games shooters. You call Call of Duty shooters. And now for some reason they call like the bullet hell games like shmups, shoot 'em ups, but they were called shooters back in the day when we didn't have like first person shooters. And so the Super NES has my favorite shooter, which is Gradius 3, but this one just had so many. Like, you had Thunder Force, you have Truxton, you have Soldice, you have there's what is Darius on there? You have what's the big one? I'm fucking missing it. The big franchise in the shooters. I can't. Oh fuck! It's on the tip of my tongue. What is it? R-Type. You had the art, which you had those on Super Nintendo too, but they just played so well on the Genesis because you didn't have to worry about the slowdown and all that stuff. So they were great, but just this game did not have the superior fighters overall. And I'm trying to think what else. I'm really pressed to pick my favorite games in this because
it's Streets of Rage. I love Streets of Rage.
Fine.
I think it's great.
Yeah, it's okay.
You have what else? Shinobi 3, Sonic 3. We didn't talk about that, but that is fun.
With the Michael Jackson soundtrack uncredited.
Sonic and Knuckles.
I didn't like a single. I don't like a single Sonic game outside of the second one.
Well, that's you.
I just don't.
Superstar, Strider. Okay. You have Comic Zone. You have Earthworm Jim, Toe Jam and Earl.
See, I don't like
Road Rash series.
Toe Jam and Earl. I've beaten that game.
Vector Man.
You know what Sega Genesis does have though? It has
Castlevania Bloodline.
Yeah, Bloodlines is fun. But the thing is okay, Bloodline stood on its own. It wasn't really a counterpart to Super Castlevania 4, but it was kind of like their exclusive. And just the Super Nintendo's version of something was always better almost all the time. And I love Bloodlines, but it's not as good as Super Castlevania 4. But they do have the greatest comic book adapted game of all time. I love X-Men 2 Clone Wars. Hands down. It's all harder than fucking balls. Yeah. I've still never beat it. I've still never beat it. And one of these days I've tried to cheat a couple years ago. My brother, we tried to play it on a emulator with save states, not cheat, but like really try and cheese the game with save states, like, keep retrying. And if we have a pretty good run, save states, and we still couldn't beat the game. It's so hard. But like, for example, the Batman Returns on Super Nintendo is so much better. The Street Fighters are so much better. Phantasy Star is great. I was a big role-playing kid, so I love Phantasy Star. Phantasy Star 1 on the Master System is fantastic, but you had
NBA Jam
3 and 4. Yeah, and I'm partial to the Mortal Kombats on the Genesis too. They looked shittier, but they played so much better.
I remember renting Genesis from, I think it was Blockbuster back in the day, and I rented it with Lethal Enforcer with the
Mhm.
light gun and everything like that. I thought
Yeah.
it was so cool. It looked so good.
I used to love the cover of Lethal Enforcer because the guy looked like Roy Scheider,
Yeah.
like from Jaws.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. I feel like there was other stuff I didn't mention on. There's a couple of weird like fringe games on the Genesis I always kind of liked, like Data East games. You remember this game Atomic Runner?
No.
I loved it. There's a game called Atomic Runner. I used to play like Valis. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not
Michael
nearly-
Jackson's Moonwalker.
I played that, but it's not great, man. Come on, who are you kidding? It's funny. The arcade's so much better. The arcade has the more licensed music and stuff.
My favorite game growing up, and a lot of people think it's shitty, which it is.
Chuck Rock 2, Son of Chuck.
Jurassic Park on Sega Genesis.
I loved it.
I did too.
It's not great today, but I loved it.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Sega.
Yeah.
At the beginning. No, we got that with our Genesis. We got it. We got the pack in with Sonic 2, and we got Jurassic Park with it. And that's when the movie was huge. It was new. And so I don't know. We played it a lot, but I think the only reason we played it a lot is because, well, when you're a kid, we had lower standards. Like any video game was great. It
Yeah.
isn't. And when I look back now, like, dude, on Easter, my mom used to get us presents on Easter, and we got 2 presents. My grandma sent us Mega Man X, which is one of the greatest games of all time, and my mom bought us Judge Dredd.
Oh,
okay.
geez.
As time would tell, one of those games is a fucking Stone Cold Perfect 10 classic, and the other one is a movie tie-in game that's just but back then, dude, we loved both of them. I didn't care.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
I was just as interested in playing Judge Dredd. Starring
I love
Stallone.
I love the Home Alone game on
Oh, you're on an
Genesis.
island there by yourself.
I know. Well, it was like one of
Um,
the first open world where you can like ride your sled around the neighborhood. I always thought it was cool.
Yeah, I could never beat that game. Did you actually beat that game?
No, I only had it for 3 days when I rented it. So
Mendoza, does anybody remember a game called Bronco Billy? Does anyone know what system it was on? I've heard of it. I can't place it. I remember we never got to rent games growing up, but there was a couple of occasions when we lived in Kentucky and we lived near the rental store that was just I could walk to. It was right across the road. They used to always send me over there to rent movies. And I remember one time I just took it upon myself to rent a video game instead, thinking I was going to get in trouble. But, you know, my mom didn't care. She's like, it's whatever. It's like she was just renting a movie for us. So if you guys really have the game, whatever. And I remember Primal Rage.
Oh, yeah.
And that was in the arcades at the time, so it was really hot. And I used to like that, but that is a piece of shit, man.
It's terrible. It's terrible now.
Oh, but I was a kid. I was like, oh, it's so cool. So cool. And
The
you know what?
graphics were phenomenal.
Your eyes are different, man. So I saw Primal Rage at the arcade, and then like literally you'll straight up get the Genesis version and you'll think, oh, it's the same.
Yeah,
But today you could like watch these videos side by side. It's like going
this
from
is pre-internet and pre.
Oh, dude, yeah, because you're just going off your memories at the arcade, and yeah, it's really a crazy thing to think about. But if you look at them side by side, it's like going from PlayStation 2 to Game Boy, dude. It's fucking bad.
Yeah.
Especially the Genesis, man. The sprites were smaller, and just you had no audio, like less sound bites and stuff. They were not good. But anyway, but there's some cool games on Genesis for sure. Dinosaurs for Hire. That was like a Malibu comic game. That was pretty fun. But anyway, you want to put this over NES, really? I mean, if you want to, I will. Because I know you love that.
No.
Terminator 2 video game.
Mario 3 alone should be ahead of it.
Okay.
As much as I love Sonic, Mario 3.
I used to play. I remember I bought the Terminator 2 video game, not the arcade game, just the classic, like you know, not a platform.
I like that one too.
But it's shit. It's terrible, Todd. But I used to play
it. Motorcycle.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the worst controls ever.
Yeah.
But I used to just love playing. I never got far. Like I never got past the mall.
Yeah, I don't think I did either.
But I just used to love the first level, which was at that biker bar, dude. I
Mhm.
just liked walking like very static and to shoot people with shotgun. Cause and and all the sprite guys look like the fat guy. Can't let you take the kid's wheel, son.
Yep.
Right? They
Mhm.
all look like him. And I don't know, it was fun because I couldn't believe that I don't know, it felt so visceral. Like I'm blowing these guys with a shotgun. It
Well, you
was
feel
so
like you're in the movie, dude. You're like, "Oh, I remember this part. Remember this scene."
yeah, yeah. But yeah, the Super Nintendo had a lot of those movie tie-ins too that weren't great. But anyway, okay, so we'll leave it there at least for now. And since we're on Genesis, let's talk about the add-ons. Did you ever have the Sega CD, Todd?
No, but my
Okay,
buddy did.
I uh I have a very big soft spot for the Sega CD. And it's not unlike some Nintendo systems where most of the games are shit, but there's some stone cold gems on there that get I mean, I don't know. At the time, we got this when it was like clearanced out. It was bombed. Like it, but I didn't
Mhm.
we didn't care. We got it for Christmas because it cost no money. Someone bought it from KB and gave it to us. They probably paid $20 for it. But to us, it was just like a new thing.
Yeah.
And I remember all my friends were getting PlayStations. We were always behind when it came to like the PlayStation era onward, we were always behind. So when they were getting PlayStations and shit, I was getting clearanced out Sega CD add-ons, but I didn't care, man. And I still to this day love those long box jewel cases.
Yeah, they are
I still
nice.
have a bunch of them, and they're basically like Windows games of the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Where they were all about full motion video, and you remember games like Mega Race and shit like that. I don't know, but just like full motion stuff where they really kind of relied on that, and it was always like really grainy and fuzzy. And you had a lot of those FMV games that were mostly just sort of playing a movie like Corpse Killer, and you had the
Sewer Shark.
The Power Rangers video game, which was basically like Space Ace. It's like it was like the first episode of the TV show, and you just had to make the right choice. But
Mhm.
it was Day of the Dumpster. I've seen these episodes, but they would plant these like arrows on screen, like, what do you want them to do? But it didn't matter what you did. It's not like they had alternate shit, like, oh, I lost. No, it didn't matter what you pressed, it kept playing the episode. It was the biggest fucking cash grab I've ever seen in my life. But there was this game that was on PC as well called Willy Beamish that by all accounts is probably shit today, but it was just a point and click game. And it was like a day in the life of this kid, Willie Beamish, a kid that was like my age. And it starts off, you're getting detention because your frog gets loose at an assembly and you have to do summer school. And then, all these different things. And it really did matter. Like you would have to make the right decisions. And if you made the wrong decisions, it would eventually lead you to a game over, a death, or getting arrested or something. But it was so much fun. And now I've tried going back and playing it in later years, and it's like the loading. I don't know how I ever had the patience for the loading. Like every time they wanted to talk, dude, you would just stare at their face and it would like just load, and
Oh,
it would take like 20 seconds, then somebody would say their line, and then it would go to the next person, it would load. Dude, I had nothing going on when I was a kid, but I found out I can buy Willie Beamish on PC. I can download it, and I'm it has to have better load times now. I bet I got it. It's got to be better on PC. I don't know, but fantastic.
yeah. I'm looking through the games. Yeah, they don't have. I mean, of course, Night Trap. Everybody talks about that,
And
which I
and
never played when I
some
was
of
a
those
kid.
games are bad, but they just have a lot of memories from the days. Like Night Trap's not good, right? Corpse Killer's not good, but I have memories from it. It's still funny to talk about. I have kind of fond memories, even thinking it sucked back then. I love Spider-Man versus the
Spider-Man versus
Kingpin.
Kingpin.
It's
Yeah, I
amazing.
didn't play
I
that.
love it. It the controls and stuff haven't aged as great as I like to think they have, but dude, it's so great. I loved all the cutscenes in that, and it was kind of semi-open world because you had a map, an overworld map of New York City, and you in like a Mega Man, you got to pick where you went. You got to
Mm.
just pick the level, and it would have like the main levels because it would have like the boss's face emblem on it, and like, okay, this one's going to move the story along. But you could go to other non story moving levels too, like warehouses and shit on the map of New York City. And I mean, the only real incentive to do this was to collect comic books. because it was like a collectathon. It was kind of ahead of its time, and you were collecting real issues of the comic books up to the day. And I had so much fun going through these old stages and trying to just find these issues and stuff. And I love the cutscenes. I love the cheesy animated cutscenes with the voice acting. They were awesome, man. And what else? Obviously, there's Stone Cold classics like Shining Force CD, which I love, which is a Sega CD remaster of the Game Gear games. Those are tactical role-playing games. I'm obsessed with those. And then there was also, obviously, everybody talks about Snatcher, which is fantastic.
I think I played Eternal Champions on there.
Oh, dude, that's a guilty pleasure, man. That was the Genesis game as well, and this is the sequel on Sega CD. And it's a guilty pleasure. Like, it doesn't play well, like it's kind of rough, but the animations are cool, the characters are cool, and the concept is cool. You basically this dude, I think his name is literally Eternal or something like that. He's like this god from the future. He puts on a tournament and he picks people from all eras of history and he grabs them right before they die, like in their time. Like right before they're about to pass and meet their doom, he snatches them like the Rapture, and he lets them fight in this tournament. And whoever wins the tournament is going to cheat death or whatever. And it was funny. Whenever you game overed, it would have a cutscene. I have no choice but to return you back to your death. And then you got to see an end scene where he took you back right before you're about to die and you get killed. It was supposed
awesome. To be like a Shang Tsung type of character.
Yeah. And everything was ripping off Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, but it was cool. You had like this vampire from the Salem witch trials, and the stages were cool, man, because his stage was Salem, and he had like the stake for burning in the middle, and they had stage fatalities. You could like light somebody on fire at the stake. You had somebody from the future that was kind of like Terminator. You had somebody from like the Casey Jones Wild West days, Billy the Kid. And me and my brother used to quote his taunt when you start the stage. He would go, Hoogie Hall. Like, what the fuck? And we just always go, Hoogie Hall. But dude, it had some stage fatalities. The fatalities in it were brutal, man. They were more brutal than Mortal Kombat, to be honest with you.
Really? I don't remember them.
Watch them, because it was all animated. It wasn't, so it actually looked, they could get more detailed. And just, dude, like, I remember the cowboy, that guy, his stage was on a train. And his stage fatality was the train would keep moving and then it would keep going. And then like there would be like a spiked sharp log or whatever. And then they would get rammed into it. You'd see like all their intestines and shit like moving and on the log and stuff, dude. It was gnarly. I think it's worth like looking up on YouTube and just watching the fatalities.
I will.
It was fun. And so you had a lot of really cool futuristic characters, people from the past. And you had a guy that was like a LA noir cop from like the 20s and 30s or whatever. Just really cool characters. And I remember me and my brother did a playthrough we put on the YouTube channel. Got no hits, but the fucking designer of the game commented on it. He's like, man, it's so cool to see someone playing this game. Like, it was awesome, dude. I was like, oh man, I'm starstruck.
That's funny.
But anyway, I have a soft spot for Sega CD. It's got some great role-playing games. It's got Sylpheed on it. It's fantastic. It's got a couple good shooters on it. It's got the definitive edition of Final Fight. It's got Final Fight Guy, where you can actually do like the arcade and play multiplayer, and you can actually play as Guy because they cut him out of the console version. So, and at the time, it had the best Mortal Kombat version. It was like the Genesis version, which is great. It had all the best parts of the Genesis, but it fixed everything it was lacking. Like, it obviously had better music. It looked it was basically like a souped up Genesis version, which was okay with me. And you got a little bit closer to the arcade experiences, because like at the end, when you had the shitty little movies and stuff, you actually got to see them move and stuff like in the arcade, like the actors, instead of just like the still frames. Just little stuff like that really doesn't matter, but it did for some reason back then. For me though, God, it's a guilty pleasure, man. I have to give it a C.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm putting it right up here too.
Yeah, I'd put it as a.
Gosh, man, we got a lot. I probably got to pick up the Pacel, but that's all right. We're gonna do all right there, because
we'll blow through some of the newer ones.
Yeah, well, we're gonna blow through. Where the hell is it? Did you play Sega 32X?
No.
Dog shit. We're gonna give it a D. It had a couple of okay titles, but a lot of the titles were also
They're the
on,
same titles, right?
yeah.
Pretty much.
Even the game that I always wanted, Web of Fire Spider-Man, and it's like the most expensive game and the rarest game on the console. It's not like anything to write home about. So we'll just kind of gloss past that. It's not. There was a Knuckles game, Knuckles Chaotix on there. It had a version of Mortal Kombat 2, which technically was better than the Genesis, but when we had the 32X, man, PlayStation was coming out, and technically there was,
Yeah.
versions of that, and there was better versions to get. But we'll move on. We are going to get into the good shit. I actually have to
Saturn?
take, huh?
Is it
Okay,
PlayStation or so?
we're going to enter the 32-bit era. I need to step away for like 2 seconds. Todd, keep everybody company. Tell them about, well, not the 32X. If you want, we're going to be going into. No, I want you to wait. I was going to say you can start talking about PlayStation, but you got to wait for me. Right back.
I'll kind of run through which ones I owned. So I didn't own at the time SNES when I was a kid. One of my good friends did. So I had the Sega. He had the SNES. So we pretty much just brought both systems over to each other's houses. We had the Nintendo. We had the Sega Genesis. Atari. No, we didn't have Atari. One of my good buddies had the Sega CD, and I think he only had like three games for it, so it was kind of a waste of money for him to even buy it. But another buddy had the 32X, which I don't know. I didn't really see much of a difference between like graphic wise or whatever they think they did by changing it up. But yeah, there's that, and then I think we're gonna start moving into what coming up. We'll have N64. We'll have play PS1, and we'll have Sega Saturn. So should be some good stuff. Anybody else have any retro systems at home or that they still play in the chat? Respect the face. GTA 6 trailer would be nice. 2023. Tell you the truth, I haven't. I'm not a huge GTA guy. I love Red Dead, but
Hello,
yeah.
children.
But I know there's my brother-in-law is a huge GTA guy, so
I've never played any GTA except for the original on PlayStation. Never. And I've been meaning to find out. I have GTA 5. It's like, of course I'm going to get that along the way. You can always get like $10, it's like,
yeah.
But it's like, I haven't played it, but one of these days. But anyway, speaking of PlayStation, we're going to talk about that. This is the bad bitch that gives the SNES a run for its money. And in my opinion, it's S tier. Can I nestle here?
Yes.
Keep it warm.
Yes.
Okay. I think it rivals the SNES as far as what it presented to the industry. Like the SNES, dude. Okay, the PlayStation, it launched so many franchises that are huge today, just like Nintendo did. And now I think I have to just give it. I think I just have to keep it just barely behind the SNES for the only reason that the PlayStation was exploring new technology with 3D. So that stuff was clunky. It shows its age because they were
it doesn't hold up
learning something new, especially the early PlayStation games before they had the DualShock, right? The analog sticks. Because then you were like trying to play platformers with a D-pad.
It's terrible.
And yeah. Whereas the Super Nintendo perfected 2D. It took everything the NES did and just perfected it, and it did what it did awesome. So for that reason, but the 2D games on the PlayStation were fantastic. But talking about the franchises that were huge, I was never a big fan of Tomb Raider, but Tomb Raider started like I think a whole genre of types of games. But Tomb Raider's kind of clunky today, but I respect what it started. And dude, Twisted Metal 2, forget about it, dude. Car Combat, Twisted Metal 2 is one of the greatest games of all time.
Twisted Metal 2 is great, yeah.
It's still fun today. And it's one of those games where dude. Crash Crash Bandicoot. So really quick, Twisted Metal 2 is amazing. It kind of makes Twisted Metal 1 obsolete because it's so much better in Twisted Metal 1. Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3. 1 is fun too, but once you play 2, 2 just fucking destroys 1. You can't, it's hard to go back and play 1 after you play 2 and 3 because they just tightened and fixed everything. But awesome. And then one of the greatest games of all time, Metal Gear Solid. Dude, forget about it. It's
still the best version. Still the best version of the game, in my opinion.
It's my favorite one too. I don't know how many people would agree to that, but it was, to me, it's quintessential PlayStation 1. I love it. It's PlayStation 1 at its absolute peak, and it's just got classic Konami logo still. I love the PlayStation 1 startup. Dude, there's nothing more nostalgic for me than hearing that the swelling. It's great. And but Metal Gear Solid, before Metal Gear Solid, nobody was quite doing stories like that. Like he kind of started the whole cinematic games. Now it's got a lot of control. Now everything's trying to be a movie, and I miss games. It's kind of backwards now.
I do too.
But at the time, dude, it was unreal. Like it was a tactical espionage movie. It was like a Jack Ryan movie with all kinds of mixed with weird fucking anime Japanese elements and made it kind of fantasy driven. And then he was doing stuff like the Psycho Mantis and the whole like, oh, he can't read your mind if you put the control port in control port 2, right? He'll read your memory card. Like, oh, I see you played Tomba. Like shit like that. It was wild shit, man. And also before Metal Gear Solid came out, nobody really took voice acting seriously. And so that's why you had games like Resident Evil, that's also one of the fucking cream of the crop games. But Resident Evil, they literally got people off the streets and people's friends, people that worked on the game, to do the voices because they didn't take it very seriously, and they're real bad. No, Jill, don't open that door. It's like they plugged in each line one line at a time. It's so bad. And Jill sandwich and all the dialogue. But when Metal Gear Solid came out, he got great actors, man, and it was a great script and great dialogue, real funny, real witty stuff. And it was a major game changer, 100%.
Some more Medal of Honor. Those games were amazing. I loved them as a kid. What else?
Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 1 and 2. I mean, they're just
Resident Evil 1 and 2.
Resident Evil 1, there's no other game that really captured being in a horror movie to me. I love 2. Everybody likes 2 the best, but something about 1, I love the music, the soundscapes of being, and I just like the idea of being in a mansion, a house. It's like being in a Romero movie. It's just really, really great stuff.
Tony Hawk 2. I mean,
Tony Hawk 1 and 2. Even though 2 was better, I played the fuck out of Tony Hawk 1, and we had those jam-packed demo discs. My dad would buy those for $5, and we would just be happy playing all the demos. I remember playing
The Warehouse over and over again.
They gave you the 2-minute free play mode.
Yep.
The two just rack up as many points. There was no collecting VHSs. There was no missions. It was just 2 minutes of racking up points, and all you got was Primus. Jerry was a race car driver, and dude, we played that so much. It was I've never been so addicted to 1 2-minute fucking stage. And same thing, I played the Metal Gear Solid demo too. That was a time demo, I believe. It ended after Shadow Moses, but we had so many of those, and they were just so much fun, and I was kind of happy with it. I'm like, you know what, $5 for a bunch of like trials of all these games. It was kind of like better than getting a whole game. I didn't care.
Destruction Derby. I mean, the launch titles alone were fantastic.
What were the launch titles? Battle Arena Toshinden. Was Twisted Metal 1 a launch title?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I think it was, wasn't it?
It was definitely launch window. It was a big box game, but I don't know if it was like an actual launch game. I can't quite remember, but I have a few of those PlayStation big boxes cases. I'm a sucker for those. And yeah, what else? There's so many
Street Fighter.
You got Street Fighter Alpha 2 and 3. You got ports of those.
ESPN Extreme Games, which is my favorite game on the system still.
One of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion, Final Fantasy 7. You also got Final Fantasy 8 and 9. Those were youth defining for me.
Rayman, Wipeout. I mean,
Wipeout awesome games. And God, what else? There's definitely more, dude. Like I said, some of this stuff shows its age now, but dude, Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Oh,
Oh
I
yeah, it's
love
good.
I love that.
Yeah.
That game was like forbidden fruit when it came. I didn't have it, and like a friend had it. I remember when I didn't have a PlayStation, but friends in the neighborhood started getting them in like 1995, and there was like 95, 96, and there was like that one kid that had the PlayStation, and that one kid had Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and going over there and just seeing it played because at the time, the best thing I knew outside of the arcade was Super Nintendo and Genesis. So when you're going from playing Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 on Sega Genesis and you know how it looks in the arcade, and then all of a sudden you go to a kid's house, he's got MK Trilogy, to you that looked just like the arcade.
Yeah.
It didn't. Even the arcade was still better, but dude, at the time, like dude, it just like I couldn't fathom like all this shit you were getting in one game. It was so cool and so unreal. Um I know there's more. There's so many games. Oh, you know what? Did you ever play Clock Tower? Anybody play
Oh yeah,
that?
Clock Tower. Yeah. I
And it's
remember
so
that
funny
game.
because you know, you don't realize I didn't realize it back in the day, but it's essentially a Giallo. That's all it is, right?
Mhm.
You're playing a Giallo game. And so technically, it's funny when I started watching Giallos, I'm like, this is just fucking Clock Tower. Wait a second, light bulb moment. Like Clock Tower is a Giallo. But it's so cool because of that. And it's a point and click game. And there was obviously one on the Super Famicom too. And even on the Super Famicom, the 2D version, the point and click, it's kind of a pseudo remake sequel on the PlayStation. Dude, even like the avatar of the main girl in the Super Famicom Clock Tower, it's just a picture of Jennifer Connelly, right?
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
from not Suspiria, Phenomena, which is great.
Phenomena.
All these little nods to the Giallos and stuff is really cool. But yeah, man, I love PlayStation. I still too, and I still love these games, dude. There's so many like fringe games that kind of died with the console. I remember Intelligent Cube.
No, I
Oh,
don't
that
know what
was
that
like
is.
I think it was a packing game for a while, and it's so much fun. You can actually buy that right now on the PS5 on the store,
Hmm.
and it's just a puzzle game, and it's so addictive, and it's so great, and it's cool because they've added trophy support to a lot of these. If you guys like that stuff, but they also had Devil Dice, another puzzle game. Love Devil Dice; it's so great. But I could go on and on and on about the Sony PlayStation. So let's gonna step it up into high gear because it's not
Yeah.
gonna get quite as nostalgic from here on out. Now,
Yeah.
PlayStation 2, to be honest with you, I was of this era. So PlayStation, I
Are
know
are we
some,
doing N64 and
yeah, I
Sega
guess we
Sat?
will. Let's do that. Okay. N64. I love the N64, but you know, you hear all the same stuff. All the first party games are what sells the systems
Yep.
pretty much from here on out. It's like that's what Nintendo's MO is like, hey, it's all about our games, but it didn't have that many great games outside of that.
No,
It's
it
like
didn't.
I love, dude, but the games that it has,
They're
forget
good.
about it,
Yeah.
dude. Fucking Mario's. I want to put it ahead of that, but if you don't want to, that's fine. I think it's worth owning for Mario 64, Ocarina of
Yep.
Time, one of the greatest games of all time. Star Fox was so great. It had such a great battle mode. Um,
GoldenEye.
I actually never really played GoldenEye myself that much, so it wasn't anything I bonded with. What else? There's definitely more. Smash Brothers, Yoshi's Story was fun. Um, I even liked Castlevania 64, even though the game gets shit on, and it was kind of broken. There was a point in the game where you could get stuck, and your whole game was ruined, like your whole save. And if you didn't save before it, you were fucked. But the games that are on here make it A tier. I don't know. Should it be A or should it be B?
I would be.
Okay, damn, but okay. And
No,
oh,
they have like 10 good games on the system. I mean,
yeah,
it has.
to me, when I was a kid, it was all about more is better. But as I got older, N64 has the definitive Mortal Kombat trilogy. It does, do it does. Not even
Yeah.
fucking close. Yeah, you don't. It's like, oh, they had to make cuts. It's like, well, you can't play as Goro and Kintaro. They're not in it. And oh, they took out the couple. Dude, Goro and Kintaro suck. Who cares? You don't need them. But
Nobody plays with them.
no, they're terrible. They're overpowered. The game's broken. And but this game had no loading. No loading. the loading killed MK Trilogy on the PlayStation, and because there was no loading, they also had a 3-on-3 combat mode that wasn't in Trilogy. And that's not on PlayStation. It's awesome. You do 3-on-3, and as you're fighting, dude, when you kill somebody, they explode. No loading.
Yeah.
The next guy jumps in. It's just chaotic, and it's fucking great. And I just think it looks better too. But anyway, okay, so we'll put that on B, and then we never. Okay, let's talk about Saturn. Did you play Saturn?
Sega Saturn. My buddy had it, and I didn't play a whole lot of it. So
I'm gonna go ahead and put it here in B. It's a lot of the great games on this were also on PlayStation, and a lot of times I like the PlayStation versions better. The PlayStation version of Resident Evil was better. The PlayStation version of things like Lara Croft were better. The only area where Sega Saturn dominated was the 2D fighters, because they were a 2D. This thing was a 2D powerhouse. And so, for example, if you wanted to play something like X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, the PlayStation ports from the arcade were gimped. They couldn't have tag team. You couldn't have two characters. Like those games were all about tag team. You pick two characters, tag in, tag out. The PlayStation, they had to gimp it to where they were just like an assist character. You had a command, and they come out and help you. Terrible loading times, missing frames of animation. The Sega Saturn was arcade perfect of all those 2D fighters. Arcade perfect. Just something about it. So it destroyed. I'm gonna give it a B. Let's do now we gotta do N64. Like I said, I'm gonna give it a B.
We already did N64.
Oh, we did? Oh, I have two pictures. Let's do it again. No, I'm just kidding. I got thrown off there, dude. I'm gonna give it 2. There you go. 2 N64s, dude. No, so now we're moving on to the next gen, which is PlayStation 2. Okay. I'm of the PS1 school, but I know people that grew up or that are a few years younger than us. They just swear by PlayStation 2. And how I feel about the startup screen to PlayStation 1 is how people feel about the startup screen to 2. And that I just don't feel it. I love the PlayStation 2. I had one. Lots of great games. Final Fantasy X, Tony Hawk 3. I played the hell out of Tony Hawk 3. But for me, it's like it's a B. I mean, to be honest with you, I would put it right here. Or maybe right here.
I'm fine with that. I mean, the best game on the system, in my opinion, is Resident Evil 4. I know a lot of people, but
and you know what? I forgot about it, but that's a GameCube game, and I don't have GameCube on here. But in my opinion, man, I don't know. I mean, GameCube is a B as well, but GameCube had some fucking awesome exclusives. I mean, and it had some good third-party shit on it too. So all these games I loved on PlayStation 2, to be honest with you, were mostly on GameCube too. Tony Hawk 3 was on GameCube. But you also had Smash Bros. Melee. You had Wind Waker. Zelda Wind Waker was fantastic. The only thing I can think of that PlayStation 2 had as exclusive that really helps it out.
Hill.
Oh yeah, Silent Hill 2. Fuck, and I forgot to say that for PlayStation. Silent Hill 1. But yeah, Silent Hill 2. Like I said, Resident Evil 4 was a GameCube exclusive first. But it had Silent Hill, it had Final Fantasy X, and it had Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So those are great, but honestly, it's pretty neck and neck between PlayStation 2 and GameCube. I really like the GameCube. But hey, man, extra points for this being a DVD player. Am I right? That was huge.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why they sold so much.
Yep.
You know, they destroyed all competition because it also had that DVD player, which Sony owned as well, the DVDs, and it was brilliant. And then I'm gonna actually jump to, bro, where's my Dreamcast? My fucking picture of my Dreamcast is not here. Oh, okay, Dreamcast. We're gonna have to pretend. We're gonna pretend here that the Philips CDI, which I also forgot to talk about, is the Dreamcast. Okay,
nobody knows what that was.
The Philips CDI is a total fucking F. It's terrible. I remember this one kid living in our neighborhood baited us to do a sleepover with her kid because he had no friends, and she lured us in with the forbidden fruit of a game console we didn't know about. She's like, "Oh, CDI, you haven't heard of the CDI?" and it was a total fucking bomb. She probably got it on clearance for $10 somewhere. And so
What's this called? What's this called? Sorry,
the Philips CDI, dude.
Philips CDI. Okay, let
Yeah.
me Google.
Anyway, she lured us, and we're like, and I was like, "What's the Philips CDI?" Because I didn't really like this kid. And she's like, "Oh, it's better than the Super Nintendos and the Genesis and stuff." Like, what? And so we stayed the night, dude. Fucking dog shit system, dude. Its control was like a remote.
Oh, and, yeah, I see it. It is a remote.
This has the world famous wand of the Zelda games that they licensed out from Nintendo, Wand of Gamelon and shit like that. And it's a lot of the same full motion video stuff, but it's just trash, dude. We spent the whole night playing Wand of Gamelon and Zelda. We played the fucking Days of Thunder video game.
Oh my gosh.
And
Hotel Mario.
Hotel Mario, God, a lot of educational games is bad. And then Days of Thunder, I remember Days of Thunder video game because it starred JT Walsh, or is it his name? Not JT Walsh. Brandon Call, who played JT on.
Oh yeah.
He was in it, dude. I don't know, and we played Clue. And I remember, when you'd make a guess on who killed who, it would cut to a scene of Mr. Body scrubbing a fucking spoon. Oh, good try, but you're gonna have to do better if you're gonna figure it out. Oh, fucking terrible, dude. Really bad. So we're gonna pretend that this is Dreamcast because I don't have a picture for it. So
Philips CDI.
I think the Dreamcast kicks ass.
It's really good.
It's really too bad that it had a short lifespan because I would put Dreamcast over PS2, honestly, because the only thing keeping it so close is Silent Hill 2, Final Fantasy X, those games I'm telling you about. But Dreamcast, dude, it had the best versions of Tony Hawk 1 and 2. Awesome. It had Nightmare Creatures 2, which was fun. It had Grand Theft Auto 2 and stuff like that. Those games were great on that. It had what else? Awesome fighters, dude. Marvel versus Capcom, all the 2D, everything like the Saturn stuff with the fighters, dude. Oh, this game had it in space. It had Mortal Kombat Gold, which at the time I loved because it was like Ultimate 4, basically, where they had more characters and stages. That was cool to me at the time. It was the exclusive home to Code Veronica.
Yeah.
After the system tanked, they ported it to PS2.
Yeah.
But dude, I absolutely love that system, and I wish it's
Yeah, Shenmue were pretty popular.
They were ahead of their time for
Soul
sure.
Calibur,
Crazy Taxi, man.
Crazy Taxi's awesome.
So much fun. Yeah, Soul Calibur was on there.
Virtual Tennis is one of the best sports games ever.
Which one?
Virtual Tennis.
Oh, dude, yeah. And speaking of sports games, first of all, I had this thing had NFL Blitz 2000-2001, which were so much fun.
Awesome.
And
yeah, I love those games.
It also had gosh, what was it? What was the Sega sports games? I can't remember. There was like another. They're not around anymore. But
2K.
Yeah, the 2K games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They were awesome.
NFL 2K is really good. Yeah.
I used to play them. On this, and I didn't even care about football, but they were so much fun. So even though this has a couple of fucking key exclusives, I'm going to put Dreamcast ahead of it just because
I'm cool with that.
I love the form factor. I love how it. I love how it looked. It was just way ahead of its time. Anyway, pumping it into high gear. We are now at I've got an extra PS2 graphic here. Okay, now we're in the next gen. I know it's like I got not enough of some, and I got too many. We got Philips CDIs.
CDI is somebody's gonna see this video scrolling through. What kind of tier list is this?
Bury my nose in shit. Okay, so now we're on the next gen. So we're gonna go with I don't remember which one came first, but we're gonna go with Nintendo Wii. Okay, this system's dog shit, but like the GameCube, it has its first party games that make it kind of worthwhile. But if you were to look at my Wii collection, dude, the entire time I had the Wii, I have like 7 games.
Yeah,
so gosh, man, I kind of want to give it a D. Because it's just
I never owned a Wii. Of course, you go over to everybody's house and they have a Wii, and
part of me wants to give it a pass because it was a GameCube too. It was backwards compatible and it was like a souped up GameCube, but I'm not going to give it a pass for that. It had the best version of RE4 at the time because the Wiimotes actually were great for that, the aiming. But the Wiimote gimmick sucked. It wasn't fun. Even like the Zelda games on it, they weren't fun because they forced you to use the Wiimotes. And it's like I like to come home from work and lay in my bed or lay on the couch and relax. This forced me to sit up and make sure I was in line with the sensor and do this shit. Like, dude, I want to relax. And also, I want to fucking eat Hot Pockets while I play. I got fucking a nunchuck wrapped around my fucking wrist, dude. They didn't know their audience very well. So this gets a D. But like I said, Smash Brothers was great on it. The Mario Galaxy was fantastic. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 were fantastic. RE4 on it was fantastic. Running at the Donkey Kong Returns is really great. But dude, yeah, it's too few and far between. So now I don't have Xbox on here. I never played Xbox. I'm not an Xbox guy.
Yeah, I have the first Xbox.
But where would you put that? I feel once we get into this era, PlayStation and Xbox, it's not like Nintendo and Sega back in the day where they were different machines that presented different flavors of a similar game. Now it's like you're getting ports. It's like, okay, all the games are the same. If it's on both PS3 and Xbox, they're identical. And which system you decided to buy pretty much just depended on which exclusives you wanted. So I was a Sony guy, so
I think the first Xbox should be up there.
Where would you put it? We're gonna call this PlayStation 2 an Xbox.
Okay, I would put it. I actually put it ahead of PS2. Well,
oh really?
I put it behind PS2.
Behind PS. Oh, okay. I'll just have to take your word for it here. Because I got 2 64s, 2 PS2s. Okay. All right. So that's fine. I never played any game. I know my brother was obsessed with Morrowind, right?
Halo alone was, that is one of the best.
And that all went that all went over my head. I wasn't an Xbox kid. So, but I know that was the birth of it. I remember like when we were in high school, that was the birth of like the LAN parties and Halo parties and shit. That was just all, technically it was an extension of the, GoldenEye parties people would have in like middle school. But anyway, yeah. Okay. PS3. I like the PS3 quite a lot more than PS2, in my opinion. I think the library, first of all, it's a Blu-ray player, but it just had a better library. In my opinion, it has even stronger games. So if you ask me,
oh yeah, this is better than PS2, absolutely.
I'm gonna put PS3 in A. Actually,
yeah,
I'm gonna put this in A.
Yeah, I'd put it in low A.
And as far as the games, I mean, continuing franchises, you had, they did a lot of HD remasters, man. So it's you got a lot of these PS2 games you liked, and you got they were doing like a lot of HD collections on this fucking thing. But as far as games, man, this gave birth to FromSoft, and as far as their glory days when they really kicked it off with Demon's Souls, which was original on Atlas. That my favorite games of this generation was the original Demon's Souls. I played it so much. And then I played Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. Amazing, top tier role playing game. So great. They ended up porting it to PS4 and all that stuff. An HD version. And then on Mortal Kombat 9. Dude, how awesome is Mortal Kombat 9? I was obsessed with it, and that was a real return to form. This is coming from someone who didn't really like the PlayStation 2 3D Mortal Kombat games, right? Save for Deception. I loved the Conquest mode. That was a lot of fun, but no, Mortal Kombat 9 brought me back, going back to 2D style, even though it's 2D, 3D, and doing the whole retconning where they're going back in time, so you're replaying the game 1 through 3, and it's just no more of the bullshit new characters like that we were getting in PS2. It was the story of the first 3 games, and you got every character from the first 3 games on one roster. So awesome. And I still like that game. I actually bought that game last year on PC, and I have it on my PC on Steam, and I was playing it. And it's tons of fun. But those are probably my 3 biggest games that I can think of off the top of my head. But
Last of Us is really good. I really enjoyed that. Red Dead Redemption. I love the original one. I think it's the best. A Rockstar game out there.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. I never got into BioShock or Call of Duty or any of those.
Oh,
Um,
you know what game? I forgot PS2 games as well, but and also on PS3. I also PlayStation 1. I love the Hot Shots Golf series.
oh yeah,
Awesome. So much fun. And to this day, I play it on Vita. I've played every PlayStation console, so continue.
Little Big Planet, one of my
Never,
favorite games on the system.
never really
Amazing.
played that really much. I dabbled, but
Oh, I love those. Let's see.
Dead Space, everybody, I didn't really play it,
Dead
but
Space.
everybody talks about BioShock and Dead Space and all these seminal games, right? I mean, I
Resident
just
Evil
think,
5. I never really got
dude,
into that, but
oh yeah, not good. You're not in Resident Evil 6, bad. But let me tell you though, Metal Gear Solid 4, fuck my life, dude. I was obsessed with that. It was a conclusion of the story, and it was like playing a movie, and it has the longest cutscenes of like all time. I remember staying up really late one night because I was at the end and I was gonna beat it, and I had to work at 5 in the morning. So I got up at like 4, if not 3:30. Dude, and it's like fucking midnight. I'm like, well, shit, I'm at the end. I'm just gonna beat it. I'm feeling I'm playing all it. And I beat it not knowing that the end movie when you beat it was an hour and a half long.
oh, geez.
Hour and a half. Dude, I'm fucking like 2 in the morning. I gotta be up in like fucking 45 minutes. I never slept, dude. But that's a game I really would wish they would remaster and fix, because at the time it was so much fun. But after playing like Metal Gear Solid 5 and how well they got it to play and how it feels, 4 feels clunky now. And same thing with RE4. It started the whole third over the shoulder type of viewpoint, and but it's been perfected. It's like clunky. Like in RE4, you can't walk and shoot. You have to stop and aim. And it's for me, it's unplayable now. So I can't wait to play the modern one where they've just tuned it up, man. But yeah, I love the PlayStation 3.
Arkham
So
City was really good too.
yeah, people love those games. Yeah, I like that game too. Did you play what about 360? Did you play that?
Oh, Xbox 360?
Yeah.
No, I didn't play any
Yeah,
of that.
so I'm gonna forego that. And then okay, so now we're entering.
Wii U.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so here's my thing with the Wii U. I think it deserves the beating it gets, but I think it's no, it's also undeserved because not from speaking of games, I don't think
They
it
have
deserves
great.
it.
You
Great
don't think
games.
they're first party games? I
Oh
mean,
no, no, I'm saying I don't think the hate it gets is because of the games. It should
oh
deserve it
no.
because the
Yeah,
games are great. It kind of deserves the hate because the idea is half baked. It's
yeah.
basically like the prototype Switch. The
Mm,
Switch is is like what this wanted to be, and they just
yeah,
didn't have it ready, and it wasn't finished baking in the oven, right? Because they were introducing a hybrid handheld, but not really. It's got a big clunky Fisher Price like tablet you played with, and yeah, you could play undocked, but you could only be like 20 feet away from your console.
yeah.
It was like a half baked idea, but the games are fantastic, and I don't care what anybody says. Love it. And I really liked the eShop on this one a lot. I had so much fun playing eShop games. They put Game Boy Color on there. They put all kinds of stuff, and I got to play all kinds of games I never got to play back in the day. Um,
It's
the
big and
only
clunky. Mine's still sitting over there. My
Yeah,
kid still
but
plays it a little bit.
hey, it's still great. I still got a bunch of eShop games on there. Like I could bust it. It's a good retro machine. But the Switch made it obsolete because they pretty much ported almost every damn game on this onto the Switch because it didn't sell but like 20 million, 15 million copies, dude. You had all these awesome games that were going to die on this platform. So them doing the Switch was like a redo. Like, okay, well, this is the fucking real concept. We're going to do it right this time. And we're gonna take all those awesome games and we're gonna port them. And I'm glad they did because you have games like the Mario Kart game on here is awesome. I love Mario 3D World, fucking
It's
fantastic.
awesome. We just
It's
beat
so
that
good.
tonight, actually.
It's so great. And I love the HD Zelda ports they put on here. They ended up putting Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game, but it
Oh,
really
yeah.
was. It came out on the Wii U and the Switch simultaneously, and you could tell it was kind of built around the Wii U, and they put it on Switch. But that game's fucking fantastic. Um, even though it's thought of as a Switch game. just incredible games. Yeah, but it's just the Mario Maker. Dude, fuck,
Oh
that
yeah,
is so good. But once again, they made Mario Maker 2, which just kind of made Mario Maker obsolete and that's on the Switch. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks about it is just like
Splatoon is great too.
yeah, no, awesome. So yeah, it's just kind of the half-baked idea of the actual hardware itself, but the games were great. But like I said, the Switch kind of makes it obsolete. Personally, unpopular opinion. Nah, high C or low B? High C?
High C.
Okay, I'm gonna do high C. Okay. Now, PS4. I like the PS4 even more than the PS3. PS4 is awesome. I put way more hours into my PS4 than I did my PS3 or my PS2. And to me, this is kind of going toe to toe with the PS1. In my opinion, the PS4 is S tier. That's just my opinion. I'll put it behind these, but what's your take?
PS4 is great. God, I don't know if I could put it.
I mean, if
at
we
an
have to move
S
it to high
tier.
A, I mean,
I don't even know if I could put it ahead of Nintendo.
really?
I would put it ahead of PS3.
Oh,
No, wait. You can put it ahead of Sega too. Yeah, do A, high A.
I'll just do high. So the games that were on this, man, I mean, obviously, a lot of them were latter day. Like a lot of times in these systems, they really are hitting their peak at their end of their life cycle, right? With some of the best games, dude. You have Ghost of Tsushima, which is awesome, and Elden Ring. I know these games are also available on PS5, but they're PS4 games. You know, they're PS4 games. They're available on PS4 first. They were built for PS4, and then ported over to PS5. Elden Ring is probably top 10 at least games of all time. I'm still playing it today. I got over 200 hours in it, and that's a lot. That's like, I mean, I know for some people that's like lightweight. That's a lot for me, man. It's just, and I've still not completed it because I really just take my time with it. I'm just really just savoring it, and I don't want to beat it. I don't know, just so many games. Like I can't even think right now, but I love it. What are your favorite games on PS4? Oh, Red Dead 2. People love
Red Dead 2 was great.
Obviously, people talk about like
Spider-Man was really good.
Oh, Spider-Man's awesome. I love Spider-Man. I almost want to say Grand Theft Auto 5, but technically Grand Theft Auto 5 was like a PS3 game too, right?
I believe so.
Oh,
but yeah,
dude,
I mean, it blew up on PS4.
This Metal Gear Solid 5, probably the most fun playing game of all time. Yeah, everybody knows the story behind it, where it was kind of half baked, and the story kind of like abruptly ends because Kojima got fired or whatever. But the gameplay, it doesn't get much more fun, in my opinion. But yeah, I absolutely love it. And I can't believe I didn't fucking mention Castlevania Symphony of the Night for PS1, by the way. Shame on me.
Yep.
But
there's
anyway,
so many games out there.
I love it. Okay, so wrapping up, continuing with this gen, we got the Switch. I think the Switch is fan-fucking-tastic. Elitists, I think console wars and brand loyalists are worse now than ever. And so you're never going to convince somebody who's a diehard PC person or a diehard Sony person or a diehard Xbox person that the Switch is good. You're just not, because it's just fucking brand loyalist bullshit. I think the Switch is fantastic. I think the fact that they've set themselves apart and they really do their own thing. They're not trying to compete in the same fields as PS5 or 4 or whatever. They don't excel in graphics. They don't excel in processing power. But what you get something you might not have the most powerful console out there, but you have by far the most powerful handheld of all time, right? It's this sweet spot, but it's also a great console. And you get all those exclusives, and you get a lot of good. I think this has got the best third-party support in the last few generations for Nintendo, in my opinion, since the Super Nintendo. So I love it. Honestly, I would give the fucking Switch. I'd be happy putting the Switch right here. That's me.
So I've had my Switch for a month now with my kids. And I want to tell you that This is the most fun I've ever had playing video games. I think the system, it blew me away, man. How fun it is. I mean, the OLED screen, you can sit there handheld. He sits there on the couch with the little screen right here, and then I'm playing with him with the two Joy Cons. He has one, I have one. We're just sitting there on that tiny ass screen. We're playing games. The idea for making a Switch was brilliant. The games are awesome, and I would actually put this behind PS1. I
Really?
liked it that much. Yeah,
I think it's great.
I think it's awesome.
I think it's fantastic. And I think, like I said, it's a Wii U on crack because they
Yeah.
just ported and they gave deluxe versions of all the games that were dying on here, because you can get Mario 3D World on here. They moved Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on here. Fantastic. There's no better racer out there than Mario Kart 8
The
Deluxe.
Super Mario 3D All Stars. I've been playing the shit out of that.
3D All Stars. Dude, if you don't have it for your kid, dude, Mario Maker 2.
I haven't gotten that yet. No.
Addicting, and your kid will make his own stages.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, Dad, play my levels, and you can play other people's levels online. And they gave you the template. They give you the templates for all the games. Like, you get all the stuff, all the assets from Mario World, Mario 1, 2, 3, enemies, stages. It's awesome. You can make a level using the Mario World assets, mix in Mario 3 assets. You can put in Raccoon Mario in there. You can put in Mario 1. It's insane. And just like, honestly, making levels is fun and addicting, but it's also just kind of fun if you don't want to like hurt your brain that much. It's fun just kind of going and playing other people's levels online. It's so great, like playing their worlds, dude, because it's all review based. So people can make stupid, like, just because you have Mario Maker doesn't mean you're a good developer. You could make levels that are fucking impossible. But the cool thing that Mario Maker does is, before they let you post your level to the internet for everybody to play, you have to be able to beat it first.
Oh, okay.
They won't let you post it unless you can beat your own level and prove that it's beatable. And dude, people put the hardest shit that, and it was so much fun for a while watching the videos on YouTube of people playing levels. They're on crack, dude. And I always had a good time kind of trying to make like levels I feel like would be really in the game, like not too hard but fun. But dude, it's so much fun. Anyway, yeah, I love the Switch.
And what's crazy is it appeals to everybody, like the older crowd. It appeals to the kids. My wife bought a game for it because she loves that Roller Coaster Tycoon, and she's plays that all the time. So like everybody wants a piece of the Switch.
Well, now, okay, they've closed the gap. Okay, so they're not as powerful as like PS5 or whatever, but they've closed the gap, because back in the day of the PS3 and the Wii U, or sorry, the Wii, dude, they were like really behind. They weren't HD. They were still in like square ratio, and like fucking when a game would come out on PS3, the Wii port had to be completely made with different engines, because they would look more like GameCube games. They would look different. It was literally like playing a PlayStation 2 against a PlayStation 3. But now, take for example the port of Doom.
Yeah,
the PS4 and the Switch. Okay, you could go on God, what is it? What's that fucking tech channel that breaks down? I can't think of it.
IGN.
No, the tech channel, like the game tech channel, and they'll break down how everything works, and they'll do side-by-side comparisons and tell you why. Okay. I don't know why I can't think of it. I watch their shit all the time. But anyway, it's close now to where it's negligible. Like, before, people used to shit on ports that went to Wii versus everybody else because they were embarrassing. But now people are not being negative. They're not now, instead of saying, oh, this is the inferior version, now people are saying it's really impressive what they did with the Switch. They're not, they acknowledge that it's maybe not quite, maybe the frame rates are a little less, or maybe like the power's a little less, and the graphics, if you're really comparing side by side, are a little less, but it's more negligible now. And now people are spinning it into positive, like, it's really impressive what they've done with that port, right? Considering. And so, yeah, it might be slightly inferior to the PS4 version of like Doom. But dude, what you're giving up is so minute, and it's kind of worth the trade-off if you think of it like this. No, you're getting this on a handheld.
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, it's just like you're playing Doom, like PlayStation 4 Doom on a fucking handheld. It's negligible. Like how so yeah, I mean it's its own thing. It's absolutely fantastic. Can't say enough good things about it. And what's your favorite game, really quick, before we move on? What's your favorite? You haven't played Breath of the Wild?
No, I've been
Life
playing
changing. So good.
all the Mario games, Mario Party Superstars. We've been playing them all as a family too, which is fun. I mean,
Oh yeah,
this is the first system that we ever did that.
perfect. Like I said, it's kind of an amalgamation of the good things of all their other systems. Like the Wii sucked, but that was the good thing about the Wii. The one good thing was like, okay, the Wii Sports, and you had your grandmas playing it. That was like the only good thing, but it fucking hurt the system overall. But like you get that great element. They've done it amazing on this, and yet it still has the games that people like. It's just, and like I said, it's got the Wii U concept that was half baked, and they perfected it. It's kind of like the best of all their failures.
Well, I hope Nintendo doesn't move on too fast from the Switch, though. Do you think they're starting to make something
I
new,
think
or
they're
what?
going to announce a new Switch next year,
A Switch 2?
or a Switch Pro, whatever they're going to call it. I don't think it won't come out this year. I think they're going to announce something winter this year or next year for sure, because it's like year 6. But they're printing money. They also might not, because they're printing money. It's
Well,
still the
yeah,
number one. It's still the number
yeah,
one selling thing, and it's already sold. I think it's about to eclipse in sales. It's only behind PS2 now. PS2
hmm,
and technically Nintendo DS, which is a
okay,
handheld, but Nintendo DS sold like hotcakes. But it's eclipsed PS3. It's eclipsed PS1. It's eclipsed all that. And
yeah,
it eclipsed the Wii, which was their highest selling console before that, at 100
yeah.
million. I think this fucker's at like 120 million right now,
Wow.
125. So anyway, runaway success. And people thought it was going to fail after the Wii U. They're like, man, this company's done. Like this, they thought like this hurt. Like they're not going to come back from the failure of this, and they did. So anyway, last but not least, PS5. I'm too new to it. I've
I
just been
am too.
playing. Right now, it just kind of feels like souped up PS4 to me, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
But that's
yeah,
because there's not enough PS5 games. Like I'm playing PS5 versions of PS4 games,
yeah,
and it's great. So I think for that reason, I'm going to put it with the PS4, you know,
yeah, yeah,
and just and to be determined. But like I said, 2023 is the year where we're really going to find out, because now we're going to get the games. Like I said, Resident Evil 4 is coming out. Can't wait to play that Dead Space game, which I do think is PS5 exclusive. It's not last gen. And Spider-Man 2. This is going to be the year where we find out. But anyway, we went a little long. That was fun talking about that, though. I've been in a game mood lately, so yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up before we left?
No, not really. Just like you were saying, it's still new, so maybe we'll revisit the PS5 at a later date.
But I'm really pumped for some games that are. I can't wait for the new Dragon Quest game. I'm stoked on that. Because I'm a nerd into that shit. But really, I can't say enough about Elden Ring, dude. I love that game so much. So anyway, and you got to play Zelda Breath of the Wild. So great. Has your kids played it? Even
No, I'm kind of getting him to beat some games before I,
moves on.
moves on.
Dude,
So
he might get sucked into Zelda. I mean, he might just
I
get.
know he might. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of holding off on it.
You'll just get lost in that. Like I said, you'll just have fun just running around that world. And to me, like I said, all ended on this. Elden Ring is also an open world game, which I also love. One of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. It's not a relaxing game. It's because it's hard. It's kind of stressful, but you get really in the world. It's so fucking cool. Zelda, I love just being in Hyrule. Zelda's hard too. But you know what? If you don't really want to deal with that shit, you can stay away from, like, you could stay away from enemies, but you could really just kind of get lost in Hyrule, man, like collecting food, cooking, and just really just soaking it up. It's a real relaxing game for me if you want it to be, so it's really great. But anyway, that's all we got. We shall see you guys next week. Feel free to shoot us ideas. Somebody suggested this idea in our Discord, which is free to everybody. We went with it. So if you guys want to make more suggestions, either in the comments below this video when it goes up on YouTube or on the Discord, that would be great. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, and also give us a follow on Twitch. I got to give a shout out to Plemke. He subscribed to us on Twitch, which was awesome. So thank you for that. We got Teespring, we got Patreon, lots of ways you can support. But we'll see you guys next week. Adios.
Later.